Welcome to Mindspring Metro DC's September video blog on the art of storytelling. Structure to storytelling is what framing is to a building. Without it, you only have a pile of supplies on a construction lot. We've all heard that a story is when a hero struggles to overcome obstacles to reach an important goal. Think about the books you read or the movies you watch. Use these points when you begin building your own personal or business stories. In order to get your message heard, understood, and remembered, whether in a leadership setting, training setting, or commercial setting, remember, humans communicate through stories. Whether they are told sitting around a campfire, at a water cooler, in pictures, or in words, stories make up an integral part of all of our lives. While you may not automatically think of storytelling while you are talking in a leadership setting, inspiring someone, or providing a learning point, through storytelling, you're able to share your knowledge and expertise, and your audience will instinctively listen for stories. Telling a story, whether it is for inspiration, for teaching, or for selling, every story you tell should contain the narrative arc and have a beginning, middle, and end. Let's take a look at the narrative arc. This method will provide your story with a natural structure, enabling the audience to follow you where you're going and to understand how you got there. When creating your story for whatever purpose you have in mind, ask the following questions. How will I engage my audience's interest in the story topic? Is there a complicating factor, a troubling issue, or some other tricky situation that needs resolution in my story? What is the climax that can serve as my story's turning point, where my recommendations and their validity become clear? Also, remember to ask yourself, what do I want my audience to get from my story? And if they were to remember only one thing from my story, what should it be? Now we've just discussed a brief overview of the arc. Now let's examine the storytelling arc more closely. The arc method can be used for structuring pretty much anything. A story, a presentation, a conversation, you name it. Your story should have an introduction, subject matter content, and then the conclusion containing information you want your audience to remember. Simply stated, tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them. The beginning, middle, and ending. Recreate the scenes of your story by providing information that puts the audience in your story. Anything or anyone can be the hero of your story. It could be your organization, a product, a location, your client, or simply a passerby. Just make sure the audience can identify with your hero. Give your story some twists or challenges to overcome. Add some struggles or obstacles. Make it interesting by using dialogue to let the listeners actually hear the characters talk to each other. Add some humor. Self-effacing humor is the best. Refer back to a line from earlier in your story that will continue to drive home your message. Doing this makes the story feel like it's come full circle for the listeners and clarifies the takeaways. Lastly, end with a resolution that motivates your listeners to action. Now let's look at the arc for structuring a story for audience engagement. Now the purpose of this arc is to tell a story to get audience engagement. Now remember, the story needs to be relevant to your topic. You first introduce the story with something that grabs the audience's attention, perhaps some sort of disorienting event or data such as, did you know that public speaking can literally kill you? For the purposes of this example, we are using the story of William Henry Harrison, who is credited for giving the longest speech at an inaugural ceremony. The speech, comprising 8,445 words, exposed him to cold and wet, killing him a month later through pneumonia. It definitely got your attention, didn't it? You then continue your story to build up to the peak of the arc. This is where you would give sensory details to capture the audience's imagination. For example, the speech was held in the town square, a small enclosed space packed with hundreds of people huddled together, trying to keep warm. At times, it was hard to see the speaker laboring away as visible mist from everyone's breath rose up into the air. Then you reach the big wah-ha. This is the peak of the story where there's a big reveal or the biggest response from the audience. I remember listening to a speaker tell the story about how she was struggling with her cancer. She started with a great opening and expertly built up the story, and her big wah-ha was when she received her cancer-free results. Then you start the wrap-up, telling what has occurred since the big wah-ha until you reach the conclusion, where you tell the moral or point of the story. If you want to leave the audience wanting more, you stop here at where the stop sign is on the screen. You tell just enough to leave them with questions. Then you will get even more interest in your topic. Mastering the basic skill of storytelling is the first step to emotionally moving people to purchase your product, to purchase your service, to be a strategic partner, to become inspired and motivated to work, or to understand and remember a learning point. In the next blog, you will hear a personal story using the ARC method for audience engagement. Thank you for listening to Mindspring Metro DC's latest video blog on the art of storytelling. For more information, please visit our website at www.mindspringmetrodc.com.